Installed, a video that makes you see this world differently. How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Installed. In this video, I'm going to talk about the interview process for software engineers. Previously, I made another 2 series for the related topics about a software engineering position. The first one is 7 types of software engineers. The second video is the technical interview questions for software engineers. Just before we get started, a very brief introduction to me in case you haven't watched my previous videos yet. My name is Nian and I'm a software engineer at Binance. So I'm a very new grad, therefore I hope before I get older, I can record all this kind of experience and share with you. And by the way, since recently a lot of juniors and also my friends, they're asking me about this kind of questions. So I believe this might be the last series for this topic, the engineering topic. And hopefully this video can help you. Alright, let's get started. In this video, I'm going to divide into 2 parts. The first is software engineering positions for interns, and second is full-timers. For interns, there are also 2 different types of internships. The first is through the school portal. As we know, in Singapore, we do have an internship called IA or industrial attachment. So that is a full semester internship. Therefore, you can apply those internships through the school portal. In those circumstances, those interviews will be relatively easier since, this is part of your curriculum. You can't graduate without this curriculum, with the credits, right? Therefore, the schools and also the companies, they will try to help you to get you in. Therefore, if you apply these internships, software engineering internships through the school portal, usually it will just take around 1 round of interview. So for what I experienced, this 1 round interview is quite easy. Sometimes it just even doesn't have any technical interview questions. Therefore, you can easily pass this. However, besides our semester internship, we also have the summer or winter internship. So internship, I'm not very familiar. I would strongly encourage you not to take this winter internship. It is because it's just 1 month. You can basically do nothing. And especially for us, like the foreign students, since we are studying abroad, in winter, I would encourage you to just go home and to play with your friends, to chat with parents. That's, quite valuable in my opinion. That's more interesting and more valuable in comparison to just, 4-week internship. For self-sourced internship, usually it will take like around 2 to 3 rounds. In most of the cases, just 2. So the 2 rounds of interviews will be 1 round of technical interview questions. Sometimes it might have another round of HR interview, but most of the cases it will just have 2 rounds of technical interview. So once you get it done, everything is passed. For interns, I do believe the questions won't be that hard. Usually it's just a medium level lead code question. Okay, that's all for the interns. The second is for the full-timers. So usually for the full-timers, there is 1 round of online assessment and 3 rounds of technical interview questions and 1 round of HR interview. So this kind of a standardized process. Sometimes it has 4 to 5 rounds interview questions. I mean, for technical interview questions. And for some company, it does not have the online assessment. So let's first talk about what is an online assessment. So in online assessment, you will receive an URL through the email from the company's HR. Therefore, they will give you a time period. For example, from Monday to Thursday or Monday to Wednesday, you have to finish this part. Usually, this assessment is around 2 hours and contains 5 to 7 different questions. So all these questions are just basically to write code. That's it. I did encounter some occasions that they have multiple choice questions, but most of the time, it will just write code. So probably you will ask why they have this kind of stuff. It's because for a certain company, for a certain position, probably there are a lot of candidates. And it's kind of inefficient for the HR, for the company, to interview every one of the candidates. And therefore, what they can do is they're just to have a filter out. And therefore, they will just give you this online assessment. The difficulty level for the online assessment is also medium level. It's because, the company, they just don't want to filter out too many students. If the question is so hard, nobody can do it, then they even don't have the candidates. And next is the technical interview questions. I won't talk too much here since previously I made a video that is talking about the technical interview questions for software engineers. Therefore, do check it out. I would strongly encourage you to check it out, and hopefully just give me back a thumb up button if you've encountered any similar questions during your interviews. And the last round is HR interview. So this round of interview is absolutely here. It won't disappear. Since as a full-timer, you need to negotiate with HR for a lot of things. For example, your salary, your compensation, and your team, etc. This is very important. And sometimes those general questions is kind of hard, especially for engineers, right? Since sometimes the engineers are not good at expressing their opinions and their feelings, and sometimes not good at negotiation. Therefore, I do encourage some of you, if you're not very good at speaking, to practice some questions before you go to interviews. Since I do have friends that failed at the last HR interview, that is not good. In some companies, probably the HR interview will move to the very front end. So they will first have the HR interview, then they will have online assessment and the technical interview questions. This also makes sense, since at the very early stage, the HR will just have a 10 minutes or 15 minutes call to you to know how's your experience, how's your background, and what's your interest. Alright, so these are all the process I would like to mention for software engineers as either an intern or a full-timers. Next, I would like to answer some questions that a lot of you are asking me, either through personal contact information or on LinkedIn. So the first thing is, how long will the HR get back to me? This question is really depends, since it varies dramatically to different companies. Like at Binance, this is not that long. So from the time you get started to the end, you receive an offer. Getting started, I mean to start an interview. So this process usually is like 3 weeks, I would say that. So usually it's around 3 weeks. And once you get offered, you will just sign it, and that's it. You can have fun or just do your final project, etc. However, for some other companies I experienced, usually it's like 3 weeks that HR will get back to you for most of the cases. And for a particular company, I won't mention its name here, it gets back to me. I mean, I passed the first round interview and they get back to me after 2 months. Therefore, I would strongly encourage you to keep pace. Keep pace means you have to keep the procedure for different companies in the same alignment. What you can do is to tell the HR. So for example, currently I have interviews from company A, B, and C, and I really want to keep all the procedure in the same pace. Therefore, the HR will largely cooperate with you. The second very common question is, what if I didn't manage to take all the questions out during the online assessment? Will I still get apply from the HR or the company? So here's the case. Usually, if you fail like 50% of the questions, you definitely won't get reply. I would say that. My general suggestion for you is to try as much as possible. So what I did is I tried over 100 lead code questions. So 60% of those questions are medium level, 20 and 20 each for the easy and hard questions. You have to try all your best, right? You can't, just figure it out easily. So for me, I think I took like 7 to 8 online assessments and I passed all of them. So this is kind of practice, right? If you practice a lot, you really get familiar with it, you can easily get past. So that's no doubt. This is the part that you can definitely make through by hard working, by practicing. The last part I would like to mention is some general tips I have for you for the whole interview process. The first thing is, do check my videos. I mean, the previous 2 videos about job hunting and engineering. So first is the 7 types of software engineers. You have to know what kind of engineers you would like to be. And also in that video, it also talks about, the jobs, the teams, and also the scope. Therefore, by watching that video, probably you can have something in mind. So here's the case. Usually when people get to me, they would ask like, I'm a CS major student and I want to be a software engineer. That's it. But when I ask them like, what kind of software engineers you would like to be, they just can't name even one of them. So this is very critical. Even though the skills required for many different software engineering positions are very similar, you still have to know what you would like to be in the end. And second, no doubt, everybody will get through this. That is the interview questions. So for my second video talking about the technical interview questions for software engineers, highly recommend this, since you will absolutely find the same or identical questions during interview by checking my personal website, nearlyblog.com. So here is just a recall. First step, know what you want to be. Second step, find those questions. And third step, come to this video to know the tips. And I can guarantee you that this will largely help you to increase the chance by getting hired. The second tip I have with you is you should always check with the HR. Actually, I also mentioned this earlier in this video, since sometimes the HR just doesn't get back to you. You have to check with them and to keep your pace on. And here's one more example I'd like to mention. One of my friends, he just didn't get back to the HR. And also, the HR also didn't get back to him. And one day he told me his story. Then I said, okay, now you have to check with HR. So once the student, my friend, he checked with the HR, and HR just tell him, sorry, I forgot to let you know that you passed our last interview. However, since it's already 3 months past, all the positions have been filled. So I would say this kind of pity, right? If you check with the HR like 2 months earlier, this kind of stuff actually won't happen. So I would strongly encourage you to check with the HR. Last but not least, you should show your attitudes. Attitudes is especially important for the interns. For interns, probably your skills may not very different from the rest of your friends, since you have just entered college for 1-2 years. What kind of experience can you learn? Therefore, the only thing and the most important thing you can distinguish you from the rest of your friends is your attitudes. Since these are really important things that the interviewers can see and to make yourself stand out. So here are some of my general suggestions you can do for this. The first thing is, during the interview, you have to show your passion, have to show your confidence, and to talk a lot about your past experience, your projects, your CCA, your clubs, your journey. That is really important. If you allow your interviewers to know your passion, that can make them trust you more. On the other hand, this is usually what I do. So during the interviews, if I didn't manage to figure out the questions, usually I will just let the interviewer know that after this interview, I will try to figure it out and send you an email. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work. I would say most of the time it doesn't work. But indeed, sometimes it works. And if it works, that's the luck. But of course, you also don't have to think like the interview is the end of your life, right? It's also kind of starting process. You can learn from an interview, and even though you spend some more time after interview, if you didn't manage to figure out a problem during the interview, I would say that's also a very good learning journey. So why don't you just try to figure it out and to just let the interviewers know? That can also show your attitudes as well. Alright, I think this is the last episode in this 2 series about the job searching, job hunting, and also software engineering. I do hope this series is helpful to you, and I sincerely wish you can find your dream job. Thank you for liking it, stop enjoying it, and see you in the next video.